Welcome back. Okay, the bot is here, so we should be live. Regrettably, today will be even a shorter stream than yesterday because I overslept. I hadn't actually, I hadn't reset my alarm, so I woke up next to my mom. My mom passed by and said, "Hey, it's 7 a.m. Do you want to sleep more, or are you going to wake up?" I fuck yes, I'm going to wake up, thanks. So here I am. Now I have managed to my voice is not that broken, and I managed to fix day 16 part 1. And the fix was quite easy actually. I might as well clean this up. So yeah, the only problematic stuff that I had to deal with. So I fixed up some ways in which the score works, because basically since it's being inserted over here, we know that here it exists, so here will be always overwritten. And I was missing, so this implementation here worked fine. Simply I was adding current instead of current score, so I got some completely random values. Besides that, everything that has been shown actually works quite nicely. That includes this logic, which I was kind of surprised. I thought that there was more errors, but it actually was kind of nice. So, great. At this point, for part 2, the problem is a little bit different, but because I have to see. Yeah, because I have to, how we say, I have to check every single possible most every single most optimized path. And the simple way on which I thought I would work it out is by simply running it again every single time, because I tried to disable this guy. But that didn't pan out how I want it to be, or at least it doesn't look like it works in the way in which I intended. So how about we put it this way? We will pick the score. So this is okay. So the way I see it is that the most optimized path or alternative optimized path should have the same score. And since they have the same score, they should have very similar outlook. So I would return the path, but I also want to return my most optimized stuff, which in this case would be this core. And in this case, it would be 0 and back. All right. Which then means that we obviously don't need that anymore. And now our path is, well, we can even just call them will be cost and path. Very well. So we can keep this function, cost and path. Now, since we have this function over the path, I would want to one by one run a star, check if the cost is correct, and if it is, we would want to keep track of that. So let 60 minutes for bathroom and coffee break. Wait, already? So here already launching an ad in 3 minutes. Oh, it's a pre-roll. I have no idea. Whatever. Okay. At this point, we want to keep up the cost. We want to keep up the all buffs, which would be ABAC. And every time we would make a fake map, which will be equal to map.clone. At this point, fake map ele.0, ele.1 will be equal to a hash, a new obstacle. Then we would we'll say temp cost and temp path. Okay. If temp cost equals equal cost, then all paths extend temporary paths. Okay. So each and every time I would want to extend it. And that break is finished now. Is it though? So do I start with a pre-roll by default? I swear I removed pre-rolls. Or do I start with the nod when the stream is beginning? Well, either way. Okay, by this meter, we then now theoretically should have every possible optimized path. We can then at mute unique pause, should be a rec, and all paths dot for like this. If unique pause doesn't contain the element, then unique pause will push the element. Finally, we would want to print seats, which would be equal to unique pause dot len. $37, huh? I believe it has to be 45. They probably should just print the every option, every oh, wait. There's a fake map here. That should change it. 44. So I'm losing one. Interesting. Am I losing one even? Okay, let's print and see what am I losing. Probably the start or the end. Yeah, probably. Hey, Null. Glad to see you back. Oh, well, this is an ether. And pretty print them up. Oh, this one. Bizarre that I'm losing this one. Very bizarre, actually. I think this is basically a coin flip. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Which is unlikely because I hoped that this stupid way would work nicely. 64. And this would be... Yeah, this is a coin flip. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But you know what? I'm okay with coin flipping for today. Since it's still fast, so... I mean... Okay, it isn't that fast. Okay, I don't need to print them up at the end. Although the possibility of there being this kind of edge case are very high. 6, 7, 6 or 5, 7, 6. Yeah, figures. Too low. This we know that it's too low. So that would be echo 5, 6, 7, 5, 7, 6. Low, bad outputs. This is only a problem where there's at least 3 possible paths. You block one, it finds the second and never sees the third. Yeah, should be something like that. Because it will always, like if this is my default, like if we move around in this direction, so this is my default, right? And when I block any point of this one, it would always default to going straight because there's no merit to going right. And if I'm blocking this point, it will go always my default. So this doesn't work basically. Which then has to make me smarter, and I have to get smart and understand how can I make the algorithm keep going, because I tried to remove the early return. I should get like 100 times back. Okay, that's too much. So I tried to get rid of the early return. But now that I think about it, the early return won't work because I need a hash, so I'm overwriting it. Which means, first off, early return still has no problem. Okay. But this will be my tentative score. Very well. And this will be overwritten every single time because of how that basically works. But technically speaking, like if I say if tentative score equals manually to 7036. I should see this one more than once, which I don't. It still stops. What about if I disable the uniqueness? Keep here more. No. One other thing that I want to disable is the let's also disable that and just pick one random start. Looking good. This looks good. Should be 3 paths. I would want to return that. Thank you. I believe there are 3 different paths. Which are these 3 one here. So let's mute every path, which would be a rec. every path dot extend with what was the function called? There was a function, sorry, reconstruct path. Came from current. Okay. Very well. And then we return every path. It looks like it always defaults to my same path. That I was hoping that it would try every single path, but it looks like the same. So that those corrections simply changes my most optimal, but doesn't use a different optimal, same one. I just keep going and I don't find anything new. And I believe it will be the same over here. Yeah, simple double up. So what more is what more is working up against me? Let's flip it up. Let's pretty the map. You're probably already entering came from which a new path before the old path gets to the end. So I'm pretty sure this code does find old path. It forgets them before you can use them. Oh. So the came from should keep an array or something. You probably are onto something. I see, I see. So that would mean that we can make him a vec. That would be or insert like that, or modify. and modify. Well, reconstructing now is not that easy, is it? Because if I push it at this point, could maybe do some recursive thing. Hmm. So that I can go all three paths differently. I don't know how to combine them because in Rust you want to get the array when you return. I believe I tried to do something like that and I couldn't figure it out last time. And I can't even understand the possible way in which because in this case I set them one by one. But the expected struct on a vec. Yeah. Or the way in which it probably works better. How about I have some alternative hashes? Like there's the came from, and there the options, which should be an vec of hash map coordinates. It should be equal to vec. And now at this point, when we came from entry or insert, every time that the entry should override, so we check if the entry exists, we then push it into a new one. Like something of the sorts. For option, options.for. If, yes, if sum, if let sum ele. sum L equals L dot get nine. So if this is present, then we would want to clone it and push another one in options, which it won't let me do because I'm iterating over it. Wanted options dot push, like let tmp equals came for dot entry now came from dot clone tmp dot entry and we push this, but it won't allow me since it's already borrowed, right? Still won't allow me because wait, anyways, this means we get to the classical loops. Okay. But at this point, okay, I don't quite care about the value. I do care about the value. Sure about this code? Not at all. And let's reconstruct every path from options that for this is an hash map. Every path that extend ele and you want to say where from, which would be goal. Oh wait, extend reconstruct path from ele and goal. Unexpected. Wait, no, expected, because the first time it won't do anything. So that will be 0 iterations. Yeah, this isn't working either. We should try the iterative one, probably. The recursive one. Because if you're... Well, I should have checked beforehand if it looks like fine. So came from will. And modify. Have that push. Current. Obviously this won't compile because there's a... Okay, no, I'm not using the reconstruct. Yeah, this is not cute to move around. Let's print it in a more human-like manner. Also, I didn't greet the girlfriend this morning, but looks like she's sleeping as well. So everyone is sleepy today. And by this point, we'll print it out. Obviously, it will complain. Oh yes, so there are some alternatives, by the way. Also should probably check if it's not in here, because we don't need the same. If does F contains current, then we can push. No reason to over push it. So there are some alternatives that could work. Which should be about correct because like this is the most optimal one. That would be it's like a 13. Okay, this position here should be around 11 or 10. How do this work? It's getting reconstructed on the way back. So 10, 1 or some shit like this. Oh yeah, here's the alternative paths. This would be 1, 9, 1 and 1, 11. Ten, 1, 9, 1. Doesn't go the other way around. At this point, I would say it has to be an interact, like it would have to work the same way. But like with some memoization. Because the goal that I want is to simply be like this. So have a key, then an array, let's say, of 2 elements. So I'd want to spawn for each one a tree that will do the same thing up until there's nothing to be done. You can even honestly this would take the came from the current and the seeds, which should be the back of chords. At this point, for the compiler should get pissed because of this, but that's not a big deal because now it would be seeds, or rather, let tmp What do you mean I don't? Move out of a shared reference. Oh my god. Nah, the recursive stuff doesn't work that nicely. I have to think about all of this. I also want to understand if it actually does some alternative pathing. Very well. Let me push this. The fuck is the two file? Let me push this and say little progress. Yeah, today will be super short, unfortunately. So let's rate the first guy we find, and I would see you. I would see you tomorrow. Hopefully, I wake up in time. No, JS, NIM with LeetCode. Let's look at this guy. Well, guys, thank you for the company. I'll see you in a bit. Time to go to work.